AYANOKOJI has grabbed the attention of countless people. His unwavering sixth sense for persuasion and influence seems to be off the charts, and it has been insanely interesting to watch someone like him at work in the show Classroom of the Elite. AYANOKOJI understands at a profound level how to move in and out of situations, not only to get what he wants, but doing so in a way that allows other people to feel better about themselves for the most part and not question AYANOKOJI as a potential threat. Even though AYANOKOJI is not necessarily the most gregarious character on the planet like Kushida is, he still understands the fundamentals of social dynamics and is able to make friends when need be, hold conversations with purpose, and still come off as a socially adept individual when the situation calls for it. All of this can be attributed to the fact that AYANOKOJI understands how the people around him work, and more so what makes them tick. If he was a real person, you could say he understands the laws of human nature. On October 16, 2018, world-renowned author Robert Greene released his masterpiece, a book he titled The Laws of Human Nature. Since then, this book has been an absolute staple in the game, as very few books on the market can replicate the amount of knowledge while also giving the reader an overabundance in practicality. You know, as an aside, in my own personal opinion, the reason why Robert Greene's books are so incredibly popular is not because he's the only one writing books on these topics. There's perpetual books written on psychology, persuasion, manipulation, etc. But Robert Greene's books are so amazing because not only does he distill complex topics into very concise manners, but simultaneously, he is the most practical, step-by-step, apply this to get results author I've ever seen. When you read his books, you actually feel like you can apply what you read rather than just fantasize about applying it. ThePowerMoves.com gives a beautiful introduction summary to the laws of human nature that states, Robert Greene says that modernity might lead us to believe we are transcending human nature, but the opposite is true. We have never been more enslaved by human nature as we are today. Our emotions have only been heightened by social media, and viral news makes it all the easier to inflame hearts and evade rationality. And it's easier than ever for manipulative politicians and leaders to manipulate us. And look at our tribal tendencies, which the digitalization has only made it easier. Now we can find our little groups and insulate ourselves with groupthink and herd mentality. The aim of the laws of human nature is twofold. One, help people judge others more effectively while making it difficult for the more destructive types to harm you. And two, learn your own human nature for true self-development. And if you know anything about the Millennial Kingdom, we are all about self-development and taking lessons from anime to become our highest versions. Throughout Classroom of the Elite, AYANOKOJI puts on display some keystone traits that go hand in hand with the laws described in Robert Greene's book. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the laws. Let's get straight into it. The first thing that becomes very apparent throughout the show is that AYANOKOJI has almost a natural proclivity to need to understand everything around him. In Season 2, Episode 2, while AYANOKOJI is sitting having a discussion with Horikita, he says that he needs to get information of Kairuzawa, to which Horikita is like, huh, where did that come from, right? And AYANOKOJI explains that out of all the characters in the show, Kairuzawa was the one person that at the moment he didn't quite get yet. Well, I'll just roll the clip for you guys. 軽井沢の行動に違和感するだけ時間の無駄よ。堀北、人はまず相手の外見から情報をかっこいいとか可愛いとか逆でもいい第一印象が何？次に行動で相手の内面を測ろうとする多項的、好戦的、消極的だがこれも外見と同じ表面的なものだ。俺も表と裏を使い分けている。軽井沢の場合、まさや協調性のなさが第一印象として D クラス内では独特の存在感がある。The point that I'm getting at is that first and foremost, AYANOKOJI has by default this sense of desire to know and understand human nature. I try my hardest not to keep referencing the White Room, but it's absolutely true that this was programmed into him from a very young age. It seems that if AYANOKOJI doesn't fully understand something, he doesn't just let it go and he wants to know more. His mind has been programmed to always seek for an answer to something, and if he doesn't yet have an answer, the last thing he's going to do is simply walk away or let it be. AYANOKOJI is basically an algorithm, and algorithms always have an answer. So AYANOKOJI without having an answer is not himself. So when it comes to understanding the laws of human nature, the first thing AYANOKOJI possesses is an innate drive to understand everything around him. This may seem very like nigga duh, but you'd be surprised at how many people read books like 48 Laws of Power or Laws of Human Nature, whatever, but literally 99% of these people never apply the tenets in the book. They just read the book because I guess it sounds fun, but it's not that they can't apply it. It's simply that throughout most people's day in modern society, their minds are occupied occupied in the most brain-numbing things, thinking about video games or... Personally, I myself am very similar to AYANOKOJI. I'm always analyzing things, training my observational skills, and inquiring into the nature of reality and humans. So I honestly have no idea what the average bot thinks about on a day-to-day basis. If you have an idea, let me know in the comment section. All I know is from my own direct experience is that most people are obsessed with watching other people's lives on social media. Bruh, AYANOKOJI would never. So number 1, AYANOKOJI developed a deep understanding of human nature because his mind is always obsessing over understanding humans around him. Whether it's for his own personal gain or not, he's always occupied with it. I mean, the way he noticed how Karuizawa was dealing with something, and then with absolute tenacity and relentlessness, he dedicated himself to figuring out what was happening with her physically, then mentally, and then, once he discovered her nature and what made her tick, well, we saw what he did to her. The next law that is absolutely objective in AYANOKOJI's character in Classroom of the Elite is Laws of Human Nature, Law 13, Advance with a Sense of Purpose. I just spoke briefly about society, right, and how most people aren't really doing things like analyzing their environment around them, and by extension, this makes it very difficult to understand people if you've never sat and studied or observed people. Well, Robert Greene backs this up very strongly with this entire chapter. In Law 13 of Laws of Human Nature, Robert Greene dives deep into the fact that most people operate lost and confused because they are distracted. Robert Greene explains that most human beings are brought through the same educational system or taught the same principles that is given to them by their parents from society, and this helps create structure, yes, however ruins a person's ability to think for themselves, which by extension ruins a person's ability to advance with a sense of purpose because they lack the ability now to make their own decisions. I agree 1000% with Robert. Bro, I love watching Classroom of the Elite because the way I interpret this fictional show is that the students are all being brought into the school to be trained on how to advance in life, but by any means necessary, right? Like, remember, what makes this advanced nurturing high school different from all the other schools in Tokyo, it's the fact that yes, these students have a curriculum, but simultaneously the school staff deliberately allows the students to accomplish their goals however unique way the students see fit. Our boy Robert says in Law 13 that human beings are unique and most use their uniqueness to give themselves direction, which by extension allows one to move with purpose. So, okay, look at the way that Koenji gets what he wants compared to how Ryun operates. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these right. Compared to how Horikita, who uses completely different tactics than Kushida. Of course, you have AYANOKOJI, who is the complete opposite of Ichinose. Every student is given space to use their uniqueness to advance towards their goals. This trains all the students to rely on their own wits, their own unique character, and move forward the way they personally see fit, rather than what society or others says is the right way to move. AYANOKOJI in the White Room was also given a curriculum, but every student in the White Room was allowed to use their own means and mechanisms to accomplish their provided objective. This allowed AYANOKOJI and other kids in the White Room to train his ability to think for himself, analyze things for himself, observe things himself, rather than relying on getting information from only outside external sources. I freaking love this show, bro. If you actually look and read between the lines, there's some true lessons to be learned if you have the willingness to understand. So like our boy Robert was getting at with Law 13 of Laws of Human Nature, is that in order for us in real life to further develop our ability to understand human nature, we must build the necessary qualities that will allow one to even be able to see human nature in other people in the first place. Like Robert Greene spoke about at length, one of those traits is embracing your own thoughts and training yourself to think for yourself and gather answers on your own analysis rather than relying on your parents, teachers, society to give it to you. Otherwise, when it's time to actually start analyzing other people and take your own mental notes, you won't have the capacity to actually do it. Let's continue. This one is a huge one that AYANOKOJI saw right through, and I wish I could have recorded myself watching Classroom of the Elite live because I saw right through it myself. There is a character inside Classroom of the Elite who is extremely overly nice, and to the point where it's just weird, and it'll be like, bro, you start asking questions, right? Can you guess who it is? Yeah, it's the bimbo named Kushida. I actually did do a live episode breakdown of this on Patreon while I was watching the first half of season 1. And if you're in the Patreon and saw that video, I literally said multiple times within the first couple episodes that, bro, something is extremely off about this Kushida chick. She was being extremely overly nice, but for no reason. No one had given her a reason to be so clingy towards people. And if you saw that live breakdown, I literally told you guys we should keep an eye out for her because the author is low-key saying something, is wrong with her. And yep, we later saw exactly her true colors. It's that boy Robert again, and he states that on the surface, the people around you appear so polite and civilized, but beneath the mask, task, they are all inevitably dealing with frustrations. They have a need to influence people and gain power over circumstances. Feeling blocked in their own endeavors, they often try to assert themselves in manipulative ways that catch you by surprise. Between me and you, I think Robert Greene watches Classroom of the Elite because he just described Kushida like he knows her personally. AYANOKOJI could see the absolute uncanniness of Kushida's personality. No one is that extremely pushy when it comes to being friendly unless they want something from you or they have a personal agenda. And of course, AYANOKOJI stumbles across Kushida when she knew that nobody was around. And just like Robert Greene says, it's the most gregarious of faces that actually possess an extreme dark side. Kushida being the most happy, overly joyful, everything is rainbow attitude in the entire show, by extension is the most psycho chick in the entire show, right? And bro, everyone talks about how, you know, AYANOKOJI is a complete psychopath. I think Kushida deserves that award. I mean, there's different types of psychopaths, but as far as like craziness goes, bro, she's genuinely a psycho. She's crazy. Any whore. Point being is that our boy Robert nailed it, right? In which you must be wary of people with an overly excited, friendly demeanor. Look, there's nothing wrong with being positive or excited, but people who have it 24/7 and are overly doing it for absolutely no reason, clearly there is something else potentially happening behind the scenes. Not all the time, of course, but it's always smart to keep your Sharingans activated and stay aware. That's all I'm saying. Well, that's it for this part 1 of the Laws of Human Nature video. There are way more laws I could cover, and if you would like to see more, please let me know in the comment section. I only like to do videos you guys want to see, so be sure to let me know exactly what you want to see in the comment sections, and I'll be sure to make it. Also, be sure to check out the Millennial Kingdom Patreon, get your hands on my free official Sasuke Uchiha course, and be sure to check out our Millennial Kingdom Discord Brotherhood. This is MK Brat. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.